Okay, thank you. So, uh, thank you all for taking your time to join this meeting today. I know it's been a while since we touched base. It's over a month. We've been having a lot of activities going on over the past few weeks within Africa and within the PVA global scene, which some of it will have this discussion as we proceed with our meeting. But first, I'd like again to thank new members who have recently joined in for us. We have part of the groups which will be working with them forward in terms of COVID-19 advocacy support. We'll get to hear from them briefly. But from my side, welcome all of you to this session. Feel free to have an open discussion about the COVID-19 updates in your specific countries alongside your organizations, what you're doing on a normal basis. I remember this meeting is basically for you as an African CVO, CSO, part of the People's Vaccine Alliance Global. So for the sake of new members, just to put like a context into it, People's Vaccine Alliance Global is an alliance of former Nobel laureates, heads of state, activists, civil society organizations who came together in 2020, just the onset of COVID. And when there was the introduction of the COVID-19 vaccine within the global north. So we had a lot of countries within the global north purchasing most of this vaccine at the expense of the global south, that is Africa, Latin America, Asia. So we experience a lot of global inequalities. So that is what made a decision for us to start the People's Vaccine Alliance. And then the focus at the time mainly was to advocate for the transfer of technology, the vaccines sharing with the global north, so that now we can all have equal access to the response of the pandemic. Then within the PVA Global came now the other regions, that is the People's Vaccine Africa, People's Vaccine Latin America, People's Vaccine Asia. We also have other PVS, including the People's Vaccine in Scotland. So then that is why we are here. And for us, usually on a monthly basis, we have this meeting within the civil society organizations in Africa, just to touch base, to share our experiences, our knowledge, advocacy moments. It's not just meeting, but a knowledge sharing and information sharing platform for all of us within the different sectors of healthcare that we are working on, right from HIV prevention, sexual reproductive health, LGBTQIA issues. We have people working with the people with disabilities, prisoners and all. So across all the sectors, we are affected by the COVID-19 pandemic and other issues that the pandemic has brought about. Currently, we have monkeypox also being declared by the WHO as a public health emergency issue. And the last week we saw an upsurge of cases in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So we know that all this is not over. That is why we keep insisting that as a continent, we meet on a regular basis, we strategize how we can support each other at individual levels and the organizational levels. So that being said, briefly, I just like us to do a round of introduction, and then I will introduce the new members. So for me, sorry, I didn't introduce myself earlier. I'm Barrack Owino from the African Alliance, which is the host of the People's Vaccine Alliance Africa, currently based in Nairobi. The African Alliance to support the campaigns and advocacy. And then within the PVA Africa, the lead coordinating PVA Africa activities alongside steering group, which ensures that we are on the move and the strategy that we have aligns to all our work. So quickly, within the next probably 3 to 5 minutes, I will call out the names as they appear on my screen. Then you can have that introduction as we proceed to the next agenda, which is formalization of the members, and then we go to updates around the continent. So I will start with Rosemary Nakame from Uganda. Please go ahead. Tell us your name, the civil society organization that will represent, briefly what your organization does, and then, yeah, what makes you happy to join to be part of the PVA, or what motivates you to be part of the PVA Africa? Rosemary, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Barrack. I'm Rosemary Nakame, as you have said. I represent from East Africa. We are a health equity organization, and we have been working on vaccine equity and hesitancy issues. So I'm so happy to join a family that is also working on the same. I'm looking forward to collaborating with all of you.
Thank you so much, Rosemary. Next, we have Ntando Yola.
Hi, Barrack. My name is Ntando Yola. I am with Advocates for Prevention of HIV in Africa. We are really involved in health advocacy broadly, and of course with the focus in HIV and you know, COVID-19 as well is part of this. What makes me happy? Well, I think at this point I am happy because we're getting summer soon in Cape Town.
Thank you, Tande. Then we have Winile Mavoko. Winile, if you can hear me.
Hi, but I'm sorry, I can hear you, but I'm struggling to switch on my camera.
It's okay, no worries.
Okay, sorry about that. Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Winnie Lemapogo. I'm based in South Africa in Cape Town, in a small farming area called Robertson. I'm coming from an organization called ASC's Foundation for Development, which is a very small grassroots organization that basically operates in the land and agrarian reform, primarily focused on food security. I've got an interest in the issues around COVID-19 pandemic and vaccination. I had an interaction with African Alliance in my previous role as the national coordinator for Chinjamakaya, but I've since moved from Chinjamakaya and to this now new role. So what is of interest to me is that as this new organization, what impact can we yield in terms of assisting the grassroots organizations in terms of vaccine awareness and education. And also I think because of the fact that there's quite a number of relaxation in terms of the COVID rules and regulations And many people think that now COVID is gone, and the issues around the monkeypox are not issues that are foregrounded. People are not talking really about. So we really want to find ways in which we can incorporate the education and awareness around COVID, as well as the monkeypox or any other pandemics that we can spread to the rest of the community. Thank you so much. Sorry about that long introduction.
Well, it's okay. Thank you so much. And we're happy to have you here. Good to know that you work you're doing on the other side. Next, Peter Owiti.
Thank you, everyone, and it's a lovely afternoon in Kenya. My name is Peter Witi. I represent community at the Act A Facilitation Council, and I also based in Kenya in one of the what we call the counties called Makueni. I work with the communities. The main work is advocacy on making sure that people get the series vaccination, and also they are able to access the booster vaccines, advocating for people, particularly the vulnerable population and people with commodities like the elderly and young people who are now can have access to COVID, and so that we don't get those the deliveries from COVAX being wasted and expiring. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. Good to have you here. Next, we have Vasi.
Hi, good day. It's Vasi Naidu. I'm actually I'm a lecturer at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, which is in South Africa. And I've come via the PVA with Moga and Masa and all of them have been. And yeah, I'm hoping to contribute in one little way I can. And I think somebody had mentioned education is very important in terms of enlightening people on COVID, on the monkeypox, and any one of those, infections or diseases that cause such great, poor health outcomes, causing pandemics, epidemics. But I think for me, the key is if people know, then they know how to manage and protect themselves. And I think it finally does boil down to an individual. So, and I think that is what I'd like to, assist in trying to put together information material so that we can help people. And then, of course, from a policy point of view, is how can we impact on the major players in terms of treatment, looking at TRIPS, looking at how we can bring research and development into Africa. So that will be some of the things that I'd like to focus on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Vasi Naidu. Always a pleasure having you here. Next is Emmanuel Mushi.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Emmanuel Mushi, originally from Tanzania. I am currently based in Cape Town. I come from an organization called Visual Aided Stories, short for VAS, which is a youth-led enterprise of creatives, entrepreneurs, and civic innovators that use art, storytelling, and leverage technology as tools for social change. So our work pretty much involves identifying talents and organization in the creative industry, such as art directors, street artists, photographers, videographers, and we provide them with the tools and resources needed to create and showcase murals in both public and digital spaces. So last year we launched a COVID-19 inspired mural campaign to educate the masses on the pandemic, and we had a series of murals popping up in marginalized communities to further raise awareness on the pandemic, and the goal is to actually engage, educate, and inspire the community around behavioral change and how we could help curb the spread of COVID-19. So I'm pretty happy to be in this network because it gives the opportunity for us to collaborate and see which way forward we can go together. I look forward to that.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel Mushi, one of our newest member here. Lastly, we have Kavengo.
Thank you very much, Barrack. My name, as you rightly say, is Kavengo. And I am also, like yourself, in Kenya, Nairobi. I'm happy to be here to meet you colleagues. I work with an organization called the Global Call to Action Against Poverty, or GCAP in brief, and is a campaign organization working across different countries in Africa, and campaigns for social justice issue, a wide range of them, including the SDGs, and as you know, which is why I'm here, the COVID, which is also has become a justice issue. And I'm happy to join hands with the colleagues here. I've been here in the past, but I think I'm also not very frequent participant to this meeting. I hope I'll do better going forward. And just like the other colleagues have said, I'm looking forward to a situation where we can have much more vibrant advocacy for access to the vaccine of COVID to all our people, because we all know that out of the more than 1.3 billion people in Africa, we should be around 20% coverage there, or slightly less, I think. And I think Naidu has mentioned it, that there are things that make our people not be vaccinated, including the availability of the vaccine. And so, and also, as other colleagues have said, lack of awareness is also a factor, but there are multiple problems that we need. I think we can talk together and find better strategies. And while it appears like COVID has gone away anywhere, I think it is other places of the world. Here in Africa, it is very much in plenty. It's only that we lack the basic tools, to gauge its presence and its prevalence. And I think it falls upon us, calling ourselves campaigners, to help out our people on how we can get over this. So I'm very happy to be among you today to discuss, among other things, how to get things, rolling forward and, getting our population, vaccinated and safe from the pandemic and other future pandemics as well. Thank you very much, Barrack.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kavengo, for that introduction. And again, always a pleasure working with you and GCAP towards this agenda of especially advocacy, as we focus on ending the pandemic as a public health problem in Africa. So from this, we have the new members. We have Remy East Africa. We have Visual Aided Stories in Tanzania. There are also some other 3 organizations that joined us. There is Freedom in Harmony in Uganda. Then we have Gosanet Foundation in Ghana and Vosieda in Nigeria, who are also the new CSOs that have joined PVA Africa. So as a next step, we'll share the list of the new CSOs with the People's Vaccine Alliance Global, so that these new CSOs can also be part and parcel of the People's Vaccine Alliance Global. For the PVA Global, the new members, we have some other subgroups that work within the different aspects. We have communications media group, we have stories, we have influentials. So in the next coming days, I'll be reaching out to you with that formalization of membership within the PVA Global, so that we can be able to benefit from all these resources that are being shared all across. For other CSOs who also feel they could interested in joining People's Vaccine Alliance Global, please feel free to let me know so that now we can have the specific working groups that you can join, because I know we have very good resource and we can contribute, especially issues related to the African priorities in the PVA global issues. So next in our agenda, we have updates from around the continent. I thought it wise to just know what is happening between our countries, and Rosemary from Uganda, if you're ready, just to give a highlight of Uganda in terms of COVID-19, what is happening there, any response we need to know, any new developments, challenges, and all that, just in about 5 minutes.
Yes, Uganda at the moment is at 56% immunization against COVID-19. So right now, there's been a mapping of areas which have been undercovered by the COVID-19 immunization efforts. The country also has just recently, in the past, maybe not more than 2 months ago, it's concluded its round 3 immunization campaign. And so we are gearing up for round 4 COVID-19 immunization campaign. And so there is a lot of stakeholder engagement to see how it can better perform and increase the vaccine uptake, most especially among children who are aged 12 to 17 years. And among us rural populations, those ones who are in the hard-to-reach areas. So those are the efforts at the moment on ground, which are being planned for by the Ministry of Health. But besides that, there are also efforts to revisit how COVID-19 vaccines can be distributed equitably, most especially Johnson & Johnson, because it's expiring in December. Pfizer expired already, so Johnson & Johnson is expiring in December. And so the country is in the work of doing mop-up campaigns and also seeing how they can quickly finish up the Johnson & Johnson vaccines.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rosemary. And in terms of the other elements of the COVID-19 response, testing, treatment, any update on that? What is happening in Uganda?
So at the moment, for example, testing is not that prevalent at the moment, as it was mainly done when it was a requirement to travel out of the country. But now, since it's no longer a requirement to travel out of the country, there is very minimal testing that is being done, and people only do it when it's a requirement to travel out of the country or for countries which necessitate it, but it's not being done regularly. And this is because it comes at a price. It comes at a price of 100,000 Ugandan shillings, which is roughly $40 or so. And so it's hard for deputy folks who are mainly in the rural areas or who are in urban slums to be able to afford such costs. And even those ones who are working, low-income earners, to be able to put up that kind of a cost. So it's not that accessible in that format. Treatments remain available in mainly private hospitals and the National Referral Hospital, but in the rural hospitals and so people are even ignorant about how to access the treatment for side effects and what even side effects to look out for. So they normally come very late to the rural hospitals, and so it's mainly treatment and testing is very inaccessible for the rural population and the poorest populations and also urban slum populations.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rosemary. Any other questions to Rosemary or a related contribution in the specific countries that we are in? Please feel free to jump in. Kavengo, any updates in relation to the Democratic Republic of Congo? Because I know there is the issue of monkeypox being discussed the past one or 2 weeks. Any correlations, any updates that is related to now the events in Uganda?
Thank you. Well, I might not speak so much about the monkeypox, but I can speak a little bit about the state of vaccination in that country. Not so much with authority, but based on a conversation I recently had with a group of people there and journalists for that matter in that country. And from different provinces, about 6 provinces out of the 26 provinces in that country. And they told us that the vaccination process is very slow. The numbers are very, very low, possibly among the lowest on the continent, if not the world. I think they are around 3% there or thereabout. Yeah, the accessibility or the vaccine itself remains very low in different parts of the country, and especially parts that have conflicts, like in the east of the country, eastern part of the country, where there is instability and some kind of armed groups operating there. The issue of vaccination does not even arise because people are busy fleeing for their lives. Yeah, but again, even where there is relative calm, and especially in rural parts of the country, the vaccine is literally not there completely. And what is there are just rumors that, you know, all manner of things and conspiracy theories and everything to suggest that the vaccine is not the best idea. And there is also that conspiracy, you know, we heard from the journalists that vaccines that are developed from the West, you know, are associated with all manner of things to exterminate the Black population, things like that. Yeah, and that in the words of at least some of the journalists, they were like, why can they be given vaccines, say, from South Africa, other than ones from other parts of, you know, from the West? But there seems to be, when I was listening to the journalists, there seems to be very low information among or within communities about the disease itself, which therefore allows or gives space to a lot of speculation about the disease itself, and finally also about the cure. And as the colleague from Uganda said, things to do with testing only arise mainly when people are traveling. That is what I had. And also they come at a cost. Even vaccine itself seems to be available quite often to those people in who have the means, you know, or relatively, if I may say so, richer. they are the ones who seem to have more access to the vaccine. So there are many things that are happening in that country. And when I listen to them, I could sum it up that the government has not done its job very well to inform its people, to encourage its people, like what Uganda seems to have just done so well at 56%. That is, I think, very good, excellent for a continent that is lagging far behind. So, and I think that should be associated with the work the government has done, possibly complemented by civil society. So all these conspiracy theories we hear about what is not or is about the vaccine, seem to arise from lack of information. But then I asked within the struggle of communication between me and the journalist, I asked them the availability of the vaccine, even where people could be willing. And they said there is no vaccine here. So it is only available in a few places. So much as the conspiracy theories are there, the vaccine is also not there. And that is what I can say about what I heard from journalists in DRC. That was about 3 weeks ago when I talked to them. Thank you, Barrack.
Okay, thank you, Kavengo, for the update. Interesting to know and to hear that, trusting the vaccines in the West is actually a challenge right from the onset. We are hopeful that with the mRNA hubs that are being introduced in Africa, once we have those vaccines being manufactured locally, I don't know if we'll still have a similar challenge now, issues trusting vaccines produced and manufactured in Africa. Just waiting to see. Vasi, do you have any input on that?
Sorry, Barrack. Well, basically, I think we've been saying the same thing over and over again. People, because of the fact that they fear the vaccine for whatever reason, whether it's religious reasons, whether it's scientific reasons or whatever, we still haven't really, we haven't actually gained. We haven't actually done much. And this is what's very worrying. We're talking about it. We've been having these talk shops for the past 2 years and so, but nothing concrete is coming up. If you look at even in our country, our fully vaccinated uptake is only at about 32% or so, just over 32%. And worldwide it's 63%. So, we still haven't, reached that. And then what is also damning is that you get all of these times people coming up with the side effects. And even now when you talk to people, just ordinary people that have had the vaccines are telling you, oh, this one never suffered with this problem, but now suddenly they're having this, and only after the vaccine, she has bladder problems, only after the vaccine, she's had an heart attack, those types of things. So people are trying to always relate whatever illness they have now, even though it's like 20 months ago, to the vaccine and creating this fear. And I don't know how we're going to get around that. So for me, in order to take the bull by its horns, basically, is for us to try and see how best, the governments can help in trying to give us a space on TV and the radio, because that is where they'll see, they'll hear. And to get people that actually can talk about it, that are experts on it, can give us, it's pointless saying this. The other day, I think is Prof. Shobs, I think, came up with this. We may be getting this new strain, it's going to come up and we've got to be careful and, all of those things. We constantly saying what's going to happen, but we're not taking people with us and trying to help them and tell them, what is your fear? Something I think in our last webinar as well, something that somebody said, is this the fear of an injection? I'm scared they're going to poke me. Something as silly and simple as that, which we're not as scared of, but there are people that are terrified of that. So how do we go and embrace those people? What are some of the things? I know in KZN, We had funding to go out into these rural areas. Because remember, why do we always talk rural areas? Because these are the people that are remotely connected to what's happening in the urban area. That's the only reason. There's nothing different between them and us, but they don't have the resources that we in urban areas have. And yet we're having people in urban areas that are not doing it. How much more serious it will be for people that are in rural areas? So this is the type of focus we must have. We must go and try and put those resources there, go there if it means us camping out there basically. And this is what the government structure should be doing. Going out there, getting people on the field, getting people to go knock at the door, talk to them. Don't go there straight away and say, I came to give a vaccine. Talk to them, discuss their fears. What is it you are scared of? Why are you scared of? And then talk the truth. For me, the most important thing is to be factual about what you want to do and how it's going to affect you. And then align, and bring examples of things that happened in the past. I mean, smallpox is a very, very good example of how it got eradicated. But how much of fear there was about smallpox immunization in India. I remember watching an HIV documentary, and then they had this was at the HIV/AIDS conference, and we had the smallpox. And this medical doctor sorry, not the smallpox, polio. And he became a victim of poliomyelitis because his parents refused to have him to have the immunization. And then he went around to village and he started talking to them about and showing them, saying, look, this is what happened to me because I had parents that did not want to listen to the science. And here you are showing them. So I think, Barrack, for me, how do we get the strategy in place? Like I said, we've been having a lot of talk shops. How do we get something so that we can start to do this? And of course, the other side of the coin is actual treatment. And now they've got treatment for COVID. There's lots of studies that are being done. Yeah. And one of the ethical principles about that, you use our people, but then you don't give it to them for free. You understand? So those are some of the things that we need to address. You want to come and use us? Then make sure we have kind of a contract that you have to give so many doses free, or you must allow us the knowledge, the transfer of the knowledge and things like that. So yeah, it is a very catch-22. On the one hand, we got it, but then the people don't want it. Then sometimes we don't have it, and then the people want it. So I don't know whether I really have answers, but I think, we should be trying to form something where we can go forward in trying to educate and get into the masses, where we can find, okay, as an academic, I have I have the resources in trying to do some bit of research. So right now, there's one research that 2 of my postgrad students are doing, looking at whether how did religion play, what part did religion play in making these people not to take the vaccine. And then we want to see what percentage of those people in KZN actually were victims due to religion, that made them not to take the vaccine. And then the other one is looking at students. Why aren't students taking the vaccine? What is in it that you don't want to take it? Is it what other reason? Maybe besides religion, could be other reasons, So that's small parts that we are playing, but I guess we have to do some community-based projects in order to highlight why, and then work on an intervention there. Thanks, Barrack. I don't know whether I really have any answers. But
yes. Thank you, Vasi. That is so insightful, and I like the point of when the vaccines are there, or the testing, the diagnostics and therapeutics are there, then we don't really have people going for it. And it's not just for COVID, across the public health space within our communities. And then now when it is not there, people start asking where it is, can we have it? Just before we go to Ross, then Kavengo, I remember back in my village, the vaccines were there, but then people were not really going for it. Give an example even of my own parents. I was telling them, go and get these shots. And then now when it was not there, they're busy calling me, this vaccine is not there. So how are you going to get it and all that? So you raise very important issues, especially the last mile bit that we really need to focus on. So as the top advocacy focuses on having these vaccines in place, then as a community, as a civil society organization, it's important we keep doing this education, information sharing, so that now people can be aware. And there's also the issue of long COVID. I think once again we focus on that, then we'll have probably change of behavior in terms of access. Yes, Rosemary, then Kavengo.
Yes, I was hearing what Vasi said, and Vasi, I just came back from your beautiful KwaZulu-Natal on Sunday, so it warms my heart to hear what you're talking about. I resonate with it. But also I want to highlight that why people are fearing to get the vaccines. For example, in Uganda, there are a lot of myths and misconceptions and lack of transparent conversations about the side effects of these vaccines. Right, some people have died because of the vaccine side effects, but there is not enough conversation about, what these are the side effects so far the countries are recording. So as to make people aware when to come to hospitals when they see these side effects. But also, it's also good to know that, for example, only 13% of the healthcare workforce is immunized. And these are the people who interact day to day with the patients and the clients of these services. So if only 13% of the healthcare workforce is immunized, whom would you expect to be the source of information to the day-to-day people who seek healthcare services from this population? So it's also imperative that we not only look at the populations that we have to get to immunize, but also the health workforce. How do we increase the number of healthcare workers that are immunized of COVID-19 vaccines? And also, another thing I was noting, for us from the work we're doing at the moment, the healthcare workers were saying the challenge why most people do not turn up for vaccines is there are a lot of stockouts which happen with vaccines. So when vaccines are readily available, there is not enough mobilization that is done to ensure that the masses turn up to be vaccinated. So these irregular stockouts, they demotivate the community to seek vaccines. But also the challenge is the Western communities that donate these vaccines, they avail short duration vaccines. So if you look at the vaccines that were recently availed, Pfizer has so many doses have expired. Johnson & Johnson is expiring in December. So the doses that are availed are short duration, they have a short duration lifespan or shelf life. So we need to advocate that they avail doses which have a longer shelf life, so that they can allow the masses, the population, to be able to seek it within the duration of its course. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rosemary. Very resourceful. Kavengo?
Yeah, thank you, yes, Barrack, for that. I just want to join my colleagues who have spoken earlier, that is Vasi and Rose, and especially to respond to Vasi's, issues that she's raised about what is happening or not happening about us here in Africa when it comes to combating this pandemic. And Africa, as you know, it's the continent that is lagging most behind compared to others. But in the midst of it, we have both very good or excellent examples and very bad examples here in terms of coverage of vaccination. And so if you look at countries, for example, Mauritius and Seychelles, these countries, I think, are way above 80%, I would think so. I think Rwanda is also doing possibly around 60, if I'm not wrong. Rose has just mentioned about 56%. I don't know whether that is fully vaccinated or partially vaccinated, but whichever way, we have examples here in Africa where countries have done so very well in terms of coverage, while others have done so poorly. So the thing is, what is it that these countries are doing differently? You know, the ones that are doing so well, what is it that they are doing so differently that those that are doing so poorly aren't really doing? And I think this is a question, maybe, I know for us as campaigners, it might not be within our power or even resources to engage populations in an entire country about this. But we are operating in places where we have functional governments, you know, and I think we are focused so much on the outside, the lack of vaccines, and forgotten our own governments, you know, for failing to do what they ought to do to reach the 80% that Seychelles or Mauritius has covered. So I think maybe we might need to moderate as campaigners here in Africa to do something or to focus spotlight on our own governments, you know, and tell them they have capacity, they have ministers of health, complete with budgets to travel else wherever they want, and they can go there and do benchmarking and come back here in our countries and, you know, try to apply those good practices they've learned from over there in other countries right here in Africa, in their own countries where things are not so very well. And I think if they cannot do this on their own without being reminded, I think it's our duty as campaigners to remind them that this is one thing they ought to do. Because, for example, Rose talked about testing being about 40%. And because of that 40%, I mean, not 40%, but $40. Anywhere in Africa, $40 is not small money. There are people whose, you know, that means half salary of their, you know, for a whole month. So not so many people, therefore, would want to sacrifice half their salary to go for a test, just one individual who has a household of 5 people in their household. So we need possibly to begin talking louder about these issues to our governments. And the fact that people are not going for testing does not mean that COVID is not existing there. It is still existing. It is still doing what it used to do when it came first here. And it is continuing to do that, whether people are talking about it or not. So I think we need to start focusing even on our governments and do something or talk to them something about what they are not doing right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, colleagues. Those are very helpful pointers and highlights. And I like, Kavengo, what you put it, what other countries doing, what are those best practices that we can bring forth and share, so that each country has now the specific strategy that benefits the entire population in terms of access to COVID-19 related treatment, testing and support, which again leads us to the 5th agenda. I'll just do a quick, because I had put this meeting for 1 hour. Then we can close it up. Just give me an additional probably 5 minutes to 10 minutes, so that now we can conclude. Usually we take between it's usually one and a half hours, but then I know people are busy and engaged in other tasks. So on the PVA Global Strategy Development, as I initially introduced, so there is need to revise the strategy. Previously, the focus was on TRIPS waiver, as we all know, trying to transfer the technology, trying to waive all those trade-related intellectual property, so that we can have this shared tech within Africa. I know there's the mRNA hub coming up and all, but then the PVA Global saw it wise to revise its strategy so that now it can reflect the other emerging issues in the COVID-19 space. And the regions were tasked with coming up with the priority areas where the strategy can circle around. For Africa, we had our steering group, which represents the 5 regions, helping us in the co-creation process within the CSOs. We have the terms of reference shared with them. The past 2 weeks has seen the regional areas focusing so much on devising or brainstorming these priority areas, which we will share with you once it's complete. We have East Africa done, West Africa has also completed their part, North Africa, so we only left with the Central, who are meeting at either tomorrow, I think tomorrow, to discuss their priorities, and then Southern Africa as well in the coming week. So at the end of it, all these priorities that we have the regional representatives working on will be shared with the People's Vaccine Alliance Global, so that we can have our priorities also included as part of the strategy in the People's Vaccine Alliance Global. And in that, there is, we announced the COVID-19 advocacy support grants. The past 3 months again has seen the PVA Africa Secretariat and the African Alliance working around the clock to do the shortlisting. We had 178 applications, did some due diligence, looking at the criteria for selection. What are these organizations doing in terms of COVID-19 response? What are their systems, the systems in place, the strategies, and the proposed project that they seek to do. So we had 5 of them being recommended for further funding. So we're just finishing the due diligence. In the next probably a week or 2 should be complete, and the sub-grantees will have will start their projects in the course of that period. So we shall have again another meeting to introduce the 5 sub-grantees. We will publish the winners in our social media website, and within the PVA Global, we have a call we usually have every 2 weeks. We shall also, as a matter of principle, share the names, and then it will all be public on what they're doing. For upcoming events in the next months, as we focus on creating the People's Vaccine Alliance Global Strategy, also for People's Vaccine Africa, we will be working on developing our strategy in coordination with the steering group members. Then the members shall ratify the same. After the strategy is done, we should be able to use it to run the alliance for the next 1 year. At the same time, we'll be presenting the PVA Africa priorities, the one that I've just talked about. On September 26th, we shall have that meeting with the steering committee. Then we'll have that presentation. We're also planning for a webinar with the Stop AIDS UK, Love Alliance, African Alliance, and PVA Africa on access to medicine. The week of 19th, we'll be sharing that communication with you, so you're all free to join the webinar. And then for these meetings, moving forward, we shall be having them on the last Wednesday of the month, so that now it is a recurring meeting up to around November, December, when we take a break. So I will send a calendar invite with all those dates so that it can be recurring in all your calendars for easy access. That is it for me. Alima Sagito, welcome so much to this meeting. We are winding up. Yes, Kavengo, before we go to any other business.
Yeah, thank you very much, Barrack, for that. I'm interested in the strategy. Yeah, for Africa, what to be done or how to go about things for the next 1 year. How is it being developed? Is there space for example, for organizations like ours to participate in any way beyond being informed what has been, sketched out so far, or how are you going about it? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kavengo. So for the PVA Africa strategy, one is with the co-creation process that is ongoing. We have the different regions meeting the CSOs in their regions, having these discussions, open-ended discussions about the priority areas. So that will be the inception meeting. We are developing the terms of reference so that, of course, for us, we believe in co-creation process, ownership of all these strategies that we develop so that we can have even the critical voices being heard. So we shall be reaching out to CSOs to align now, because we know the different CSOs, especially those working across different countries, have priorities that they need to be focused on within the specific sectors. So Kavengo, we shall be reaching out for additional input. Once we have that, we shall also review the draft that is there. Once the strategy is complete, we shall run by the members so that they can also be aware that, yes, this is what we wanted to do. This is it represents the people of Africa and the strategy that we want to use moving forward. So yes, we'll be reaching out.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other business? Any other question? If not, allow me to close the meeting. Thank you so much for your time. The past 1 hour, we've had a very fruitful discussions. Updates from this meeting will be shared with the People's Vaccine Alliance global wide meeting today that will have all the global CSOs meeting. Will bring forth the highlights that we have had here. Yes, Rosemary, your hand is raised.
Sorry to take you back. I had a problem of internet connectivity.
No problem.
I wanted to know when should the people who are the organizations that applied for the grants hear from PVA about the final decision?
So the final decision should be within the next 1 week. From what I know, there was due diligence being done by the finance with the last organization earlier today. So probably, if I may put a date to it, Monday. By Monday, that should be the final bit that we can have the members, like those CSOs, being notified. So you can say between tomorrow and Monday, we shall have all those bits in place. Yeah, thank you so much. I wish you a great afternoon and evening. See you on the 28th. Should be on the 28th of yes, 28th of September. I will share the minutes of these discussions, and please feel free to reach out in case of any questions that you have or any thing you need support of in terms of the aligned strategies of the PBA Africa. Thank you so much.
Thank you and bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
Oh,
Thank you,
okay.
Mele. Bye.
Thank you, Barrack. Thanks, everybody. Bye. I'm actually on a
Thanks,
wedding.
Vasi. Bye.
Yeah.